Welcome. We're going to explore the softening technique, which is based on three main steps. First, recognizing effort, releasing that effort, and enjoying the release of effort. I was introduced by Stephen Proctor from midealmeditation.com to this technique, which I'm very grateful for because it is and has changed my life towards the better. So what are the benefits of developing the softening skill? One is that we create a home base to which we can always return to, a home base of softness, letting go. When we recognize that we've shifted away from the home base, there's excessive effort within body and mind, we release and enjoy and naturally return to a home base of softness. For this, we also develop the other benefits of developing the skill of recognizing, release, and enjoying. So the recognizing skill is the recognizing of whenever there's excessive effort present within body or mind when we shifted away from the home base. So the same way, when we smell the smoke of food burning, we recognize this, and then we still have to extinguish the fire. So recognizing it is insufficient. Then we apply releasing the effort towards it, extinguishing the fire. What happens then with time is that as we release the effort, we find enjoyment in letting go. As the body relaxes, the mind calms, a pleasure of simply being arises, a happiness independent of whatever situation you find yourself in. So this pleasure of letting go. And this is very significant because the more and more we show the mind how preferable it is to let go, to soften, how nice it feels, a perception change happens, a preference towards letting go, and a dispreference, a disfavoring towards holding on to excessive efforting. And with this perception shift, we come to the next two main benefits. A hindering and a weakening of destructive, unwholesome, viceful tendencies, as those are based on excessive effort. These could be fear, anger, discontentment, frustration, envy, worry, etc., etc. As we show the mind the preference of letting go and the disadvantage of experiencing excessive effort, we create an infertile environment for those tendencies based on excessive effort to grow. We hinder them and we weaken them. Whenever they're present, we recognize their effort, we release it, hence stop fueling them, weakening them. And the same applies to the opposite, the wholesome, the constructive, the virtuous tendencies of body and mind, as they are based on letting go. These are kindness, contentment, generosity, gratitude, joy, confidence. The more and more we show the mind this perception of how nice and enjoyable it feels to let go, the more and more we facilitate, create a fertile environment for those tendencies to grow. Whenever they are present, such as kindness, we can soften into it and make it grow. So these are the main benefits, a home base of softness that we can always return to, the ability to recognize effort, release it, and enjoy it, and with it, a hindering and weakening of viceful tendencies, and a facilitating and strengthening of virtuous, constructive tendencies. Let us talk a bit more about effort. Effort is defined as that which supports things. So in the body, it might be tension to maintain a posture, or it might be other tension that are excessive, such as my shoulders being tight, and I could release that effort. In the mind, it might manifest as thinking or the attention jumping around from sensory experience to sensory experience. So now, what is effort that is constructive, and what is effort that is excessive, that we should rather release? And here we have the distinction between excessive effort and constructive effort. And I define it as constructive effort is any effort that brings the mind towards behaving, towards letting go. And excessive effort is the behavior of the mind that brings us towards resisting non-softness, the opposite of letting go. As well as constructive effort is any effort that brings us closer and closer towards our values, and excessive effort is any effort that brings us further and further away from our values. So we have this tendency towards letting go on our values, or away from letting go, away from our values, excessive and constructive. Now within the physical body, for example, I have no backrest on this chair, so I have to maintain my posture quite a lot. And I think this is good to maintain this posture that is physically healthy. So if I would now release the effort underlying the tension within my body, I am collapsing and collapsing. And I believe this posture to be unhealthy. So I bring up the effort to maintain that posture. However, while I'm having this posture that I consider aligned with my values due to physical health, there are some parts of my body that are still having excessive effort. My jaw, my shoulders, I can release. Within the mind, there might be, for example, during practice, a constructive effort would be the curiosity towards recognizing effort. And then a curiosity if releasing effort actually feels nice. So this is towards letting go. We could also have an effort towards arising kindness or empathy, aligned with our values and also based on letting go. Excessive effort would be is any behavior of the mind that resists. So this means any desire for reality to be different than it is. If there's something unpleasant, we want it to be gone, to be reduced. So an aversion. If it's something pleasant, we want to hold on to it, increase it, so an attraction. And both require effort, and we can let go of them and access contentment. It could be a restlessness, the attention jumping around because it scans for danger and wants safety. It could be excessively thinking, ruminating, or also a general sense of doing rather than being. So a lot of aspects of excessive effort. However, we can also constructively think, such as when you have to calculate your taxes, or when you think about what's the most beneficial thing to say to a friend or to a person. So effort is that which supports things, and there's some effort that is constructive and some that is excessive. Some that is always excessive, where we can be 100% sure, at least in my view, is that which is away from letting go, and always constructive, that which brings us closer towards letting go. And then regarding the aligned with values, we have to be curious what activities, actions, what manifestations of effort bring us closer to our values. So how do we practice the softening skill? There are basically 3 steps. 1, recognizing effort, releasing that effort, and enjoying that release of effort. We do this in a circular way. Recognize, release, enjoy. Recognize, release, enjoy. There's nowhere to get to. Every single phase or step is an opportunity to improve your skills. We're developing our skill of recognizing effort, and whenever we're ready, then we release it, and whenever there's enjoyment available, we enjoy it until it lasts, and then we repeat. So every phase is an opportunity, nowhere to get to. Softening physically. So we recognize any effort within the body might manifest as tension. So for example, the jaw, the neck, shoulders, arms, hands, or anywhere, a curiosity in developing our skill to recognize effort. How does it feel like? Increasing our sensitivity towards it. And whenever we're ready, we've recognized some, we then facilitate its release. And we do this, for example, by tuning into the releasing that's already present within every out-breath. On the out-breath, the shoulders slightly sink, there's a releasing. The chest and belly deflate, there's a releasing. And we tune into this releasing, borrow it, educate the remaining effort within our body to also soften, release. And with every release comes a relief. And we can notice this, point the mind towards that relief that comes from letting go. A pleasure, a joy might arise that we can enjoy, and supporting it with a smile, and with it showing the mind and body the benefit of letting go, how nice it feels, how preferable. In comparison towards whenever we recognize effort, how exhausting it feels, slightly unpleasant, and how preferable this feels. Until the enjoyment lasts, at one point it will go away, and then we start again. Recognize, notice how it feels like, a slight exhaustiveness as well. Release, enjoy. Within the mind, we apply the same structure, recognize, release, enjoy. We recognize any effort within the mind, which might be resisting the current reality, might be restlessness, or other states, excessive thinking. And once we've recognized the effort, we then facilitate its release, also with an out-breath, but a different one. We use a slow and gentle exhalation through the nose, and we soften, release the effort in the area behind the eyes. It feels like it is the frontal lobe of the brain. I don't know if it is, but I notice a softening of the area behind the eyes where the frontal lobe of the brain is, according to anatomy, in my understanding. So we notice any effort around that area, slow and gently exhaling through the nose, and with it, softening the area. With this, we release the effort within the mind, and any activity within the mind that is based on excessive effort or on effort weakens, pauses, or drops completely. And with that release, a relief arises that we can notice, point the mind towards, show it how enjoyable it is, until it lasts, and we repeat that cycle of recognizing effort, how a little bit unpleasant, exhausting it feels, releasing it, and enjoying how good it feels. It is recommended to start with physically softening, creating a foundation that will make it then easier to mentally soften. Some tips. One is an attitude of offering rather than forcing. So we offer conducive, constructive conditions for certain behaviors of the body and mind to happen, for the likelihood of those to increase, rather than forcing them to happen. Because usually that doesn't work, and if it's not sustainable. So in this practice, for example, we tune into, notice the releasing that is happening on the exhale as the shoulders sink, the chest and belly deflate. And we show the remaining effort within our body or mind, this releasing, so they can learn from it whenever they're ready, convinced by, so to speak, they can also release, soften. Another tip is to see everything as an opportunity rather than a problem. So for example, when we enjoy the softness, how nice it feels, the relaxation and calm, at one point it will go away, it is disrupted, and effort arises and agitation. We might perceive this as a problem, which adds excessive effort on top. Or we might perceive it as a reality, as an opportunity, because it is. And we can perceive it as such as well, which adds a pleasure, a joy on top of it. It is an opportunity because now we have the opportunity to update the behavior of that habit that has decided to act on excessive effort, on resisting, non-softness. We can develop our skill of recognizing effort and then update it by showing the pleasure of letting go, how nice it feels. This opportunity perspective can be applied to recognizing, release, enjoyment, to anything. And finally, the recommendation to emphasize the pleasure or the joy of letting go, how nice it feels. Even if it's just small, with time, it will increase. This joy, this pleasure that is based on letting go of effort will accelerate, support your path towards contentment and happiness independent of conditions. It will not stop you. It is a catalyst. So how do we bring softening to daily life? Whenever we become mindful, remembering the present moment rather than being in autopilot, forgetting the present moment, we then have the opportunity to recognize any effort, release that effort, and enjoy the releasing of effort until it lasts, and we repeat. And at one point, we are forgetting the present moment, and then we remember we can apply it again. This means we don't have to give up the activities that we do. However, yes, we will, if the activities mentally or physically are based on excessive effort, we will either weaken, pause, or stop them completely. So certain activities, such as, for example, shouting angrily or being very anxious, frustrated, etc., and the activities that come from that, they will weaken, pause, or drop altogether. But everything else that is based on constructive efforts or aligned with our values or towards letting go, we can continue doing so. So, for example, we can eat our food, enjoy it, watch movies, watch games, read, think, do sports, drive a car, bicycle, it does not matter. Softening, mindfulness you can bring to anything. However, be aware that certain activities that are based on excessive effort, you will weaken, and at one point they will not be there anymore. However, in my definition, excessive effort is not aligned with your values, so that's good. And they're also going away from letting go, so that's also good. And we continue strengthening all these tendencies that are in harmony with your values, such as, for example, kindness, or brings you the contentment from letting go, calm and relaxation. So, whenever you have the opportunity, we become mindful, be curious about any effort, support its release, and enjoy how nice it feels while continuing whatever you're doing. So how does progress look like in the softening skill? Well, we have the three main skills of recognizing effort, releasing, and enjoying it. So it will become more and more sensitive towards excessive effort within the body and mind. It becomes easier and easier to recognize them until one point it becomes automatic. The same way it becomes automatic whenever we smell smoke. It becomes automatic whenever we experience excessive effort. Effort underlying the body is a little bit easier than the mind, but with time, the effort within the mind becomes easy to notice as well. Then the ability to release the effort becomes easier as well. At the beginning, maybe we can only recognize it, but at one point, it becomes easier to release it with the out-breath or slow and gentle out-breath through the nose for the mental effort. And at one point, we don't need the tool of the exhalation anymore. We can release it just by releasing it. The same way we don't need, when we learn to ride the bicycle, these additional wheels that are at the back. At one point, we can let go of them as they were only a tool to help us learn how to let go, because the mind and body, they already know how to do it, but we just support and strengthen that skill. Then the enjoyment skill is, it becomes easier and easier to notice the pleasure that is based on letting go, and it becomes also more easier to enjoy the pleasures of letting go. With enough practice and showing the mind the benefit of letting go, it becomes automatic. There will become a point in time where the mind has understood the disadvantage of excessive effort and the benefit, advantage, how preferable it feels to let go. Then whenever it notices effort, it will drop it. The same way whenever something is too hot, we drop it automatically. With time as well, the more and more we apply this practice, any tendencies that are based on excessive effort, they will weaken whenever they come up, so the intensity is weakened, as well as the frequency will weaken. Any effort that is based on letting go will have it easier to be there, to grow. Unfortunately, we still need constructive effort towards cultivating those wholesome, constructive, virtuous tendencies. They will not come by themselves, but we create it a fertile foundation environment for them to have it easier to grow. So it might be that contentment or gratitude, generosity, as those seeds are already within you, those habits, they will have more and more opportunities to come because now the environment is more fertile. So easier to recognize, easier to release, easier to enjoy, automatic, as well as unwholesome, viceful tendencies weaken, are hindered, and the wholesome, constructive tendencies are strengthened and facilitated.